Hey guys, give me just a minute to get set up here and we'll get underway. Probably should update that stream info though, that's for sure. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Now, before I unpause anything, as I recall, we had a new visitor coming to play. We probably want to cross our fingers and hope like hell that I actually linked up the bridge, but I don't think I did. We're probably all going to get killed if that's not the case. So let's find out if we were actually doing what we should have done. We were not, so we are probably all now dead. All that fucking effort, and for what? Okay. Well, here we go. We have no militia, no traps. Our bridge isn't linked. How do you think this ends, kids? Not very good. I need to pay attention and focus more at the beginning. The necromancer bug was excusable, but this is pretty bad. Let's see. We can follow our marsh titan as he mercilessly slaughters the entirety of our fortress here. I don't even think I can build a... I can't even build a wall. Maybe if I get that door down fast enough. I doubt it, but we can try. See who's going to sacrifice themselves to hopefully get some flooring up, and thereby... I don't think we can get the flooring up, though, realistically. Let's see if we can change the zones, maybe. This is what comes of trying to get too extravagant before you worry about our defenses. So we'll try to get all the dogs moved out of that space. And our human caravan is probably arriving just in time to get a good close-up view of this Marsh Titan pummeling the snot out of everything. Oh. Looks like the human swordsman may have come to our rescue. No. No, it's our military that did the deed. All those iron spears we built. Equipped, not particularly well trained. Let's see here. Whacked a dog. Dogs, dogs, dogs. Not seeing anything but dogs, which is good, because if all it ever managed to attack was actually the dogs. He attacked a hauler here, but the hauler jumped away twice. And then it looks like it just got mobbed. Even the folks who are in the militia but haven't been assigned equipment yet, looks like a support hauler punches the Titan. Hey, it's fun when I forget to lock the damn doors so that the Marsh Titan can't come in. Where else are you going to get quality entertainment like me forgetting to put up basic defenses? The truth is we put up some basic defenses, but we didn't put them up the way we should have. We didn't put them up fast enough, and we didn't put them up in depth. So let's talk about what failed there and what went right. What went right is that in the middle of that giant production frenzy, there was a moment where I stopped and had a moment of sanity and said, hey, maybe we should make some iron equipment to give to all of our dwarves. And started by making some spears, which we gave to a military squad, which we equipped, and which we put on a training schedule so everybody knew how to go get their equipment. So that part was ready. We had a military squad, and they even had minor training because everybody we recruited had a level 3 when we recruited them. So all of our military squads were, well, our squad, I guess I should say, was ready to go. It even had its equipment, at least in partial. We told it steel, and we had iron. We had our dogs arrayed in a pasture around the entrance that detects any sneakers, and it also forces things like Marsh Titans with webs to spray those webs at targets other than our dwarves, provides targets other than our dwarves to absorb those impacts in the event of, things that spray like a web or flame. Flaming dogs are not flaming dwarves. Webbed dogs are not webbed dwarves, and so on. Not to mention when the dogs swarm a target en masse, all of the constant dodging and defenses actually takes a toll on that target's intelligence or endurance over time. You dodge enough, eventually you wear out, you get tired. And not everything does, but those things like Marsh Titans do. And in this case, it got tired and eventually dogs and spears. Do I want to know what the YouTube link is? Dare I ask? Well, let's make sure we've got our refuse gathering from outside set properly. Gather refuse from outside is good. Let's see if any of these corpses can be butchered. Probably not, but if not, we'll dump them somewhere useful. Yeah, I didn't figure. Check to make sure we got our garbage dump set up. We do. Good. Oh, is he one of ours? Nope. Nope, he was a goose. Okay. Now that's one of ours. That hauler punched him a few times and eventually went down. I must have missed that in the log. Okay, so let's get him buried. Oh, hang on a minute. We will take a look at this. We apologize in advance if you hear any annoying background music. I'm going to pull that video up because I want to see how that's done. It'll be useful for us. I'm going to mute it, but it may take me a moment. I don't mind having some of them, but the ones on job cancellations, yeah, they get a little annoying. I'm going to have lots of them by virtue of the way we run the fort with standing job orders. So there's not much I can do about it other than to have cancellations. See if Sal has this in such a way that I can do it without having to. Oh, that's easy enough. They're just killing off, they're just removing the link to it in the pack. I see, we can do that. Okay, hang on, I can do. See, I think I've already done the removal on those, but let me rename them anyway. Okay, so these are the flute noises. Let's see if that gets rid of the ones we're worried about. See, I don't think it's those. I think it's this cancellation notice here that's our problem.
I can't do that there. I can't do it. I can't do that there.
Or maybe we need to reload it. Might be that we need to reload it so it doesn't have it. See, couldn't find the two that we renamed. Give it a second. Let's see if that fixes our problem. See, that's not the flute you think it is.
I can't do that. Yes, I'll do. No, no, no. No.
Actually, I wonder if there's a second cancellation notice in there. Cancels, needs. See, all these are cancels, needs. No, that's the only production section. Those are the only production ones. Give me a second.
No, 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 no. 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 It won't work. It won't work. No. Why do you think I can do this? No, I can't do it. Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no. Sorry, I can't do it, sir.
Sorry, sir, I can't do it.
I can't do it. I just can't. I can't do it. It won't work. Ugh, no way. Ugh, I won't do it. I can't do that there. I can't do it. I can't do that there.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's any of those. It's... Okay, I did disable sound here. I wanted to make sure. Ugh. That's just the pattern, so that's not going to do anything for us. Okay, I'm all ears, guys. All of these are cancels X needs Y. There's sound sense, cancellation. Such and so cancels X needs Y. There's all the cancellations it gives me. None of those is that little two-tone. None of those is that little two-tone flute. Not one. These are hot and cold rockfall noises when you discover things. Water drops. That's special interactions. Well, let's see if it lets me rename it again. Do it later. Okay, so maybe it was in default. I don't think it'd be trading. Not going to be seasons. Not system. Okay, let's see if that's fixed it. Might have been in the default tab, though. There you go. It's not in the production section, it's in the default tab.
Do it.
I don't mind the little clinky
No, 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 no.
completed
No.
job and notice. There we go. Much quieter.
I can't do it. I just can't.
Rock coffers everywhere. Okay. Check on our steel production. It looks like that's running. Cloth needs a go. Probably because we are not processing sufficient numbers of plants.
Sorry, sir, I can't do it.
I suppose while we're at it, we should probably go ahead and link that bridge up, you know. Is that better, Gygaxinator? I do have a problem letting that boom wander. No amulets, and our mayor changed. Well, there's one I've never tested before. Sorry, had to clear up the assignments on the mayor's office a little bit there to make sure that the right person has the right office. Still not quite where we need to be on the bedroom.
No, 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 no. No!
And I need our manager. What is dear Valdemar doing at the moment? Oh, that's right. I left him in the militia with the guy that's going a little wonky. We do need a proper manager. Well, then I can fix that. Hang on a moment. This will be a little hard to look at, and I apologize in advance, but it's the only way I can fix the sound. Is that a little better? I'm hoping. Now, as it happens, we no longer need that as an office for the time being because our mayor is going to temporarily take over our manager's job. But our militia commander, Valdemar, let's see, we need to replace this one. Does not need an office, so he's in good shape. Okay, now.
I
Not
can't do
sure
that
if we
there.
can meet the mandate on the guy who got kicked out of office or not. We're going to find out. But our noble basically has nothing to do all day except sign off
It
on all
won't
those
work.
manager orders we put in earlier, so the wooden bucklers should be getting done momentarily.
Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no.
What's this one doing, and why are they not... I'm concentrating on something. Okay. Apparently you're concentrating on the dead dogs. Do I want to know? Loose-tooth Mingan. See what you're up to because you're hanging out here right next to all the dead dogs, which is a little unusual, gotta admit. You're doing no job on no burrow. You're a kitchen worker. Wonder if our kitchen worker is really badly wounded, and we did not bother to get up a... We did not bother to set up a doctor, did we? No, we did not. We fixed that problem. Put the doctor to use. We had the doctor, just never assigned it. Even have the hospital all ready to go. Except that we never made it a zone. Bet we start to see action now. Somebody getting dragged
I hate
off
saying
to...
no to you, but no.
No? Is it not a health issue then? You're thirsty and you're hungry, but there's nothing else wrong with you. think our dwarf is broke. Let's get them some backup in the kitchen, because apparently it's driving them a little round the bend here. Looks like got a couple of potential cooks.
Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no.
Dwarf has other jobs to do. I don't have a burrow set up yet because we didn't bother to do that either. Definitely not a burrow issue. Plenty of food and drink.
I can't do it. I just can't.
Ignores militia order. Can obviously leave the fort. Ah, I know what the problem is. They finally got around to doing what I was wanting them to do all along before the human swordsman came along and saved our asses. That's right. I remember what we were doing. We were sealing ourselves in, weren't we? And so we did. Only we did it after everyone was gone because we're not that bright. Whoops. That could be a minor issue. I tried to pick it out, but my eyeballs just ain't working that good. So you are now able to drink, apparently. That's good. Or else you're going to the water in the brook, which is not so good.
No.
Okay, that would explain a few things about why things weren't changing. Pull that one out of the military because we weren't expecting them to be there after all. A really big drink of that really nasty brook water. Hey, look, they've finally decided to clean up the corpses. Good, finally. Was kind of stinking up the entrance there.
I can't do that there.
Much better. Actually, those are tree leaves, believe it or not. Our brook is so shallow that the leaves fall on top of the water surface. So
I
even
can't do
even a
it.
stream would probably be a better place to drink than from our brook. You have to realize it's barely a trickle of nothing. Looks like I forgot to mark one of these dogs for dumping. And while we're at it, we also forgot to mark our coffins for burial. And we're going to have to fix that. In the process of digging our mine, we actually punched a hole down into our dining room complex, and we're letting some of the light aquifer leak in. And we'll pick up the leather. See if there's any cloth here that we want. Oops. How are we doing for value here? We haven't marked anything for trading, so we're not looking at comparables yet. There, that's 50-50. Love all this cheap leather. This is going to make getting the necessary leather to equip our military squads with their leather accoutrement to be fairly straightforward. Snag a little extra cloth, some more of this cheap leather. And then we'll see what other stuff they're going to offer us this time out. Much better purchases this time. Okay, what else you got for me here? Cheap quiver, cheap quiver, cheap backpack. Might as well take their cheese. And we'll hand them one extra. There we go. Take all that stuff from them. All right. Let's turn off our trading. Okay, so we corrected our accidental, whoops, what the hell were we trying to do when we sealed ourselves out problem.
It won't work.
And we got to pull seeds out of that main stockpile. Those should never have been in there. They're kind of clogging up all our tiles at the moment.
I can't do it.
For a minute, I thought it said we had 0 boxes and bags in the common area. I was going to say, what? Hey, Bishop, welcome aboard. The SS playing too slowly did not get his defenses up in time and was saved by a human swordsman who was standing there at the front door. We call that
No.
using the merchants as defense in depth. We provide you with fantastic high quality trade goods. You put your lives on the line every time you come to our fortress to trade.
No. I said no. make more room. Here comes migrants.
Good. Okay, let's see what they brought us. Not much. Not much. There's not much out here. Uh, and Klinadev will survive yet another day because we can't get a wax worker for him to actually die. Okay, now let's get all of our groups assigned to an uniform. Okay, and now all of our militia have all of their equipment and positions assigned 30 men deep. So now we have a spear squad, an axe squad, and a hammer squad all at the same time. And I wanted to make sure I had the waterfall set up so that my first three squads are two squads on, one squad off every year of the month. Make sure we have training set up for all of our barracks, for all of our squads. And we should start to get an accumulation of soldiers in the barracks. Training, sparring, pairing off as their skills allow.
Sorry, I can't do it, sir.
Sorry, sir, I can't do it.
Pull a bunch of those rock coffers out of our storage and put them to use.
I can't do it. I just can't.
Well, there is a rather low number of stones which are not being used for other things like ore, so we need to produce stone, if you can believe it. And I think the easiest way to do that is probably just to go ahead and get them started on the next level of bedrooms. If I query at this point, you can see that when I pause, all of these beds have been laid in, but not all the upper half has beds yet. And we're running right at about peak capacity for beds at the moment. I think you were making a small recovery. Yeah, see, you're up to fine now. Getting you able to pummel somebody once in a while seems to be the key to keeping Drive Shaft happy. Because you got caught in the rain, your stress is down to 203, whereas before it was like 10K. You got caught in the rain, still haven't been able to pray for too long enough, uneasy after seeing a dead body, drank water without a well, got caught in a snowstorm in the last season, still separated from a loved one forever and a day. Oh, wait, that's the wrong guy. Hang on. Wait a minute. Lock that person in my rear end. Okay, so dejection after being able to inquire, self pity after abstract thinking. I have a library, so that's just on his ability to get there, unfortunately, because he's in the military now. Needed to use a mug, didn't have one. Yeah, you're still coming down, though. You're about half of what you were last night. 5.1 from 10.1. Getting you in the militia was definitely the key to making you less pissy about shit. Okay. Oh my god, there was a dead body. We probably need to get that thing underground before somebody starts getting really horrified about it. I think we've got it all nice and buried now.
No, 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 no. No! It won't work. It won't work.
Now, this is probably a glass industry sufficiently large to deforest the entire Earth.
Sir, you can't do that there.
But the green hell continues to steadily advance on our fortress.
It won't work. Ugh, I won't do it. Ugh, I won't do it.
And we'll try to get everybody doing some glass making, but not sure we'll be able to sustain that kind of glass making industry even with this amount of wood laying around. We will see. Wants to entertain, wants to entertain. Yep, nope, you can hang around for as long as you like, but I'm never actually going to deny your petition. By keeping you around, you potentially serve as a defensive measure. Let me think about how I want to lay this out for a second. Give me a moment. Okay. May not even be able to keep. Bet you can't separate the copies.
It won't work. Another baby? Well, at least it's not an explosion of cats.
Okay, and they're pulling them out. That's what we want.
Yes, I'll do it, but no, it won't work.
Yeah, Drive Shaft, I think putting you in the military was probably one of the best moves we could have made. I didn't expect it to work out quite as well as it has. Your stress continues to drop. And since you are the least contented member of the fortress, I'm not sure I'd tie it to the Irish, given that it's your propensity for brawling that seems to have made you a happier individual now that we put you in the military. Doesn't seem like the sort of connection I'd want to make. And the booze.
I can't do that there.
Still thinking about what we're going to have to do for this. This is going to take a while to dig out.
I can't do that there. Sir, you can't do that there. Sorry, sir, I can't do it.
It won't work.
What are we doing in terms of plants? I'll bet we are just sitting on a pile of, yep, hemp and Pigtails, rope reeds. Gives the military something to do, and they're going to be producing plants by doing plant gathering anyway. The hauler, of course, I want doing plant processing. Just looks like maybe we're not producing it fast enough to, or cranking them out fast enough to keep up with
I
the
can't
clothing
do it.
demand.
I just can't.
Weapon stockpile and armory.
No, I can't do it.
Need to have a place to store our weapons fairly close to the front line, but not on it. So we'll store them behind the barracks where our folks who are rushing out to defend the tavern can pass through the place they need to pass through to pick up their equipment. This process is going to take a minute. After we've excavated this floor, we're actually going to go back and channel this floor. Going across it, cave plants growing everywhere. It's going to take me a while. Put that on the eventual wish list. But since we've got all this stone, we can actually have fully grown cave mushroom trees, complete with the caps and height. armor, weapons, ammunition. This is a general stockpile for storage. Later on, if we need to have those items used somewhere else, for example, a weapon bin folded out or an ammo bin folded out to just plain stacks of bolts so our archers will properly use them, we can have another stockpile that takes from this one. But this will start clearing out the surplus of items that have been accumulating in the forges.
I can't do that there.
It'll also provide us a nice intake of stone for our mason's workshops. Now, once this is all cleared out, we're going to channel it down several floors, like I said. So we're going to get a nice waterfall going in at one end, dropping down, and I'll have to let it muddy the floor, as much of the floor as I can get muddied. And then we'll cut a nice channel so it looks like a nice river flowing through our little cave. Well, it was only intended to be temporary. So we'll put Valdemar out of being militia commander and get him back onto engraving the history of our fortress over the long haul. So I'm curious, guys, what do you want to see going forward? What would you like me to do on stream? If the sky were the limit, just out of curiosity. I mean, we're not going to get dwarven computers and not going to build a half-adder for you on stream, but well, screw pumping lava 100 floors from bottom to top would probably mean I'd have to run this fort most of the month just getting the dwarves down there and back. We can easily produce the pump components because we have access to sand and glass, so getting the components wouldn't be a challenge. It's just a matter of waiting on the dwarves to get it all done, and it is a massive construction and an enormous strain on frame rate when we do it. So while you can make a 100-floor pump stack, my suggestion, if you were going to move magma vanilla, would be to set up a minecart system to move the magma up all the way. If I remember right, we'll have to dig all the way down, put magma into a trench, set the track up so that we can push the cart through the magma and up onto the other side, where it can then be escorted to where we will dump the magma into a retention chamber for its use. The other way to do it Yeah, well, you got to realize it's 100 floors between. So let's go back and look at that. For those of you who may not have, let's do the import agreement here real quick. Hang on, see what he wants to buy from us. Scepters, earrings, bracelets, blocks, meat, headwear, crutches, crystal glass tools. Yeah, we're gonna make stuff out of crystal glass just to sell it. Psh. Okay, so pretty stuff. Okay, other than that, we make the usual stuff. So let's talk for a moment. For those of you who may not have seen what we saw last time, we actually, in our first episode, tried to figure out vanilla where the caverns were. And the way you do that in vanilla is to build a big farm plot, but you don't really build it. You just expand it way out here to get as much area as possible. And this little patch of dwarven radar will change color in the presence of sufficient terrain. So, for example, when we zoom it up here to the surface, all of a sudden this changes color. You'll see it beep. If you can build, it changes. Caverns have area where you can build farms, so when we hit a cave, this again will change color. Now as we dive down through the ground, 60, 70, 80, 90, we're 90 levels down from the surface now at this point. And it's not until right about there that we hit an open area, and that's not even solid ground, that's just open space in the cave, and we are 100 levels down. So it's minecart. Can you transport magma in a wheelbarrow? You can transport magma in a wheelbarrow? Don't think I've ever done that. And that's vanilla. I mean, there's nothing cheaty about that. That's the vanilla farm plot functionality. That's been in the game since they first went 3D, you know. The other way you could do it is DF liquids, and I'll admit I haven't looked at that in a long time, but basically you can excavate the little hole where you're going to put the magma and tell DF hack to auto-generate some magma in that space. If all you're wanting to see is, let's set up a magma workstation, I can do that real quick with DF liquids. If you're wanting to see me move magma around en masse to, say, use it as a defense, that's going to take some time. We're just starting to get to the point where we have kind of a stable fortress. And then I'm going to have to work on setting up the lower fortress, basically. So we've got all these bedrooms, right? And they're up here at floor 30. It is 70 tiles from there down to where we would be building our eventual forever fortress. And I want to say it's another possible 30 or 40 tiles. I think it's 150 total before we hit the magma sea proper. So we're still going to end up with a fairly large pump stack or minecart wheelbarrow system to move the magma around. It's going to take us a while before we're ready for magma. We'll do trees at first just to get us an interior supply of wood and thereby fuel. We have bituminous coal on site, which is good. That'll help offset our fuel usage. But if we plan to make steel long term, we're going to need a lot of that coal just to be able to make pig iron and steel.
Sir, you can't do that there.
If you're wanting to see magma forges just put to work and how fast you can get something up and running, as a demonstration, I would regard a volcano as probably the easiest site on which to embark. You have, especially if there's a brook or a stream on the same site. Triply so if there's no aquifer then to mess with you, because at that point you can tap magma, tap water, bunker yourself into the caves, start working on your first tree park, because you've basically accomplished all your other needs at that point.
Sir, you can't do that there.
Okay, I'll bite. How do you get magma into the wheelbarrow is the next question I have to ask. Can you tell them to pick it up from there like a pond? Isn't there a zone where you can... Wheelbarrow might work. I can make metal wheelbarrows. We have plenty of iron, and metal wheelbarrows will get it done. We can punch down to the magma sea and straight down the mine shaft here and let them carry a few wheelbarrows up and never worry about it again after that. we're not going to need that much magma to get a forge set up. Oh, that's right. We didn't take those guys out of the cages. Whoops. That's kind of a big deal. So let's go look at the animals here and see which ones we didn't want. Well, we don't want any yak calves. They can go away. Oh, did we start auto butcher even? Yeah, it looks like we did. Okay, but we have some races that have snuck in that we didn't zero out. We don't want yaks. I don't need water buffaloes. I don't need any vultures. These are all just butcher on the site. Theoretically, I could use turkeys, but we're doing blue peahens, so turkeys are dead this time too. Reindeer, gone. Now, obviously, it won't get rid of the pets for me. There are limits. But anything that's not a pet, it will immediately just say, okay, that's toast. Guinea fowl are already zeroed. Goats. Geese. Ducks. I don't want them to start at 0 in case it turns out that there's some race that comes on. You know, giant jaguars suddenly arrive in a breeding pair and I butcher both of them because I'm not paying attention to the race settings. So I want them to come in and at least have the ability to sustain a breeding population if I don't notice. The wheelbarrow carries the minecart. This is going to require me to read on it before I'm going to be able to do it. Not that we're going to get to it tonight anyway, because we're still working on this. But I'll have to take a look at that. I'll be honest, I've never bothered to move liquids up with wheelbarrows and minecarts. I would typically just run on a fuel industry until I got down to the Magma Sea. But I normally don't embark in fortresses that have 100 Z levels between me and the first cavern either. So today we're going to learn something. Well, not today. Tomorrow during the day we're going to learn how to make that work. The good news is this giant patch of stone will provide ample stone for our masons and crafts dwarves for the foreseeable future. Actually, why not? I'll leave them on. And we'll just let stone crafting and glass making kind of satisfy the need to make stuff in our fortress for all the folks who need to have a crafting skill improved. Yes, mark it all for dump, and then mark the cage for reclaim. You won't dump the goblin, because that's a separate thing. That requires a pitting. But the items, like when you mass market, all the items on the goblin will get marked for dump. And so what'll happen is they'll come along and strip him. But you mark the cage for keep, because if you mark the cage for dump, then they let the goblin out. Mass dump, reclaim the cage. Now, as a general rule, dumping containers is never going to work out quite the way you hope. Dumping the container basically says leave the contents where they are, throw the container away.
Yes, I'll do it, but no, it won't work.
There is currently no Dwarf Fortress equivalent for dump containers with their contents. No setting for it, yeah? Cages, barrels, bags. They'll all dump their contents on the ground if you dump the container. Now, I wouldn't toss the cage in a hole, although you could. Put the cage on a stockpile directly adjacent to a hole, preferably a hole that is immediately over about a 30 Z-level drop. If the cages with the goblins are adjacent to that hole, set the hole as a pit, assign the goblins to the pit. A dwarf will come along, stand on top of the cage, pull the goblin out of the cage, put the goblin in the hole. The goblin will fall 30 Z-levels and explode.
No, 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 no. No!
As long as you're careful to make sure that you do it slowly and not all at once, that they are well and truly dead before the next one lands, you can hit fairly large numbers of goblins this way. If you really wanted to get creative with it, you could conceivably take a 3x3 drop shaft with the corners cut out to make shafts all the way down and basically pit everything down those 4 holes. Not sure. Haven't seen Val. You have to forgive me, guys. When I set you guys loose on a raid, I'm headed for bed at that point. I got to get up again in the morning. When I do this event in October and November, it ends up consuming most of my day. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come home from work, I have a brief time to get all the stream announcements and stuff posted. Try and wolf down a little dinner, and then off to the stream until 10 o'clock, and then I'm supposed to be right back into bed again at that point, but see, I don't know that he actually exploded. I think it didn't. It. Oh, see, now you're going to ask me. You mean Valdemar? I don't know that he actually exploded. I think it exploded a couple of his parts when it punched him a couple times. But aside from that, that thing was just basically running around biting things on the head and shaking them around until they died of it. I'm picturing an enormous toad that basically is bouncing around and treating things like a terrier puppy. It's grabbing them like a towel knot and then slinging them around back and forth. Okay, so not that I'm looking to get rid of this fort anytime soon by any means whatsoever. What's just the... Yeah, militia went ham on that Titan a lot better than I thought they would have. Glad I got them assembled. All that focus on production, at least I was paying attention to what we were using it for. Still didn't get the bridge closed, though. That was dumb. Real dumb. Could have been real bad. Is that our merchants finally packing up and leaving? Yep. Okie doke. Good shape there. I'll put everybody on wood hauling duty for just a moment and see if I can't get some of these haulers to do something useful, like pull all these logs inside.
No, I can't
We
do it.
come here in hopes of a better life.
Well, there you go, Clinidev. You are finally proven right on my, what is this, 4th year, my 3rd migration wave. They finally sent me a carpenter with decent skill. So the dwarves would have revolted by now and killed each other over the lack of beds if I had not already trained myself a carpenter. But they did, in fact, send me one. Eventually. You know, over a long enough timeline. What are you going to do, right, man? Well, how am I going to work around this? Coins are metal crafting, aren't they? I believe coins are metal crafting. Might as well use up some of that lead, and I can use up a little of the iron as well. Now, one trick we can use, and I've been waiting to kind of show it off, and I'm not keep forgetting to get it done, is we can move all of our coins to the trade depot, mark them for sale one at a time with a macro, and then they'll be split into separate stacks when we reclaim them, 1 coin each. When you melt them down, you get more metal back than you put into the coins originally, allowing you to generate metal. A minecart's only stockpile with wheelbarrows.
Oh, I won't do it.
See, and I think in the current meta, Clinidev, I would switch the engraver for a carpenter. because it's very simple to train an engraver on the math smoothing job you're going to have to do before you start actually engraving anything anyway. So you can actually, if you just set your engraver up early, take some migrant who's got a decent roll for it, slap them into engraving, designate a giant area for smoothing, and just forget they ever existed. By the time you come back, they're going to have skill, 12 or 15, and you'll be able to engrave anything you want. Now, I suppose if you want to do a sort of gallery of engravings, now there's something I never thought about doing for one of my fortresses. You could excavate down to the stone, chunk out like a catacomb build, making sure you leave plenty of space, and then every year or every season or every month you designate a certain number of tiles for engraving to keep history.
Why do you think I can do this?
Okay, so I glanced at that briefly, Clinidev, and I have to ask, so, okay, you create the stockpile with the wheelbarrows, so now you move the minecart to the stockpile. When you assign it to the route, aren't they still going to carry the minecart to the place where it's going to be positioned in order to dump the magma into the hull? Do you set it up so that the stockpile is directly adjacent to the stop where you will deploy the minecart?
It won't work. Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no. I can't do it. Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no. It won't work.
So I assume that either the... Well, no, it's still full of magma, so it would still be hot. So I assume that it's the distance involved. Okay, that's doable. In fact, that's not even particularly unreasonable. It does mean we'll have to dig out a new forge area. But that's okay. Who doesn't like a new area? And it won't be all that far off of our existing bedrooms and tree farm. I'll go down a couple floors in case there's something I needed. Now this is a fairly large area. And we're going to cancel. We don't want them to dig out that room. Okay, so those two holes will eventually become sites for magma forges. Easy enough. Let's get the metal wheelbarrows done.
Can't do that there.
Yes, I'll do it, but no, it won't work.
The other thing you could do, is you could build yourself a collapse for your sandbags, but realistically, the other way you could get sand and magma in close proximity, besides bringing the magma up, is to send the sand down. If you excavate a 3x3 chute to the level directly below the sand, so everything below it is gone, you cut up around it, leaving only one floor connecting a single tile of sand to the wall, and then cut that so it drops down the shaft. I think you get I think you end up with a single tile of sand way down below, at which point if you drop that straight through to just above the magma sea, you can have a sand collection area directly adjacent to the magma sea. And that's pretty much the best you're going to get, I think.
Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no.
That's instant on demand, as many magma forges as you want, and the sand collection area is limited only by how many drop shafts you want to dig. But I have to see if it stays sand. I know Dwarf Fortress sometimes does wonky things with materials when you drop them. Well, for new players, I think I'd probably just suggest using DF liquids and worry about how to build a pump stack later. Mess around with how to build what you can do with glass first and understand, what a massive glass industry running off magma so you don't have to provide fuel can really do. If we're patient and we continue to patiently refill our so here's a dumb question for you. I assume you can reuse the mine carts to go back and get more magma. So I only made one, or oops, I only had enough metal to make one. But if I can just get this forge up, I'll be able to do more. I assume you could take that hot, empty minecart, put it back in a different stockpile with a wheelbarrow, and have it delivered back and forth depending on which stockpile you set active at any given moment, right? Okay, now it'll take a while to get all of those set up, obviously. We're not going to do them all overnight. But we can get them dug out.
I can't do that there.
No, but you could. No, Drive Shaft, what I mean is you could, for example, take the mine carts, dump them in a hole, right? 20 of them. Doesn't matter. You can do as many as you want. Um, Fill that space with magma. So now all the mine carts are full, as long as there's magma coming in enough to fill the mine carts and still have some left over. Empty the magma out so that you can come get the mine carts. Okay? Before you do anything else, create a stockpile with wheelbarrows made of magma-safe metal so they don't burst into flames. Which means my wooden wheelbarrows will have to either be forbidden or eliminated. I've set up some iron ones to be made. The iron wheelbarrows are used to transfer. You forbid the filled magma or mine carts so that nobody picks them up. You steadily unforbid one at a time to be moved to your stockpile full of magma minecarts. One at a time, you assign each one of the minecarts to a track stop where it just basically tips over and dumps its magma into a hole. That's the only point of the track stop. Basically creating a case where your dwarves are moving a magma minecart, which is very hot, a short distance, preferably not very far at all. And if you move the stockpile around, you could probably have the stockpile directly adjacent. So your dwarves are basically shifting at one tile, and it immediately dumps out. And then unforbid another one so that the stockpile gets filled upstairs, right? And then create a new stockpile to pull the empty one back downstairs to where you'll dump it again later to refill it. It's a I may have missed a step in there somewhere along. It's a long process, but the gist is basically you're going to use the mine carts to hold the magma, the wheelbarrows to hold the mine carts in all cases except where you're moving it from stockpile to track stop. And that moment where you deploy the magma mine cart, your dwarf is going to be exposed to high temperatures. So you want that distance to be very short. So what we'll probably do is set up a stockpile like right here, or right here to get the first magma forges and smelters up and running. Well, to be fair, that's correct. If you've never built a pump stack, oh my god, even a small pump stack feels like just a giant monstrosity by the time you're done. The number of things that have to be done just so, and don't do any of them wrong, or holy cow, you've screwed it up, and you have to rebuild something. We'll set up a small stockpile right here to basically hold one mine cart with a wheelbarrow, and then we will move a track that we'll set up a different track stop at each place to fill up with magma. And then once that square is full, as we cycle our mine carts through this stockpile, we'll mark all these other we'll mark all these other empty mine carts for dumping again, put them back in the hole where we'll refill them with magma again, and we'll have to do that several times probably before we're done to get all of them filled. It's going to be a long process. It's not going to be something we're going to finish tonight. We can get this dug out and get it prepared. Now the reason I've dug these in this pattern is these two by the side is the pattern a forge would use. It would be built over the top of them so that these will occupy the side squares. So I don't think we've seen magma yet, but the generic forge blueprint, if you look at the solid squares, what I'm doing here is I'm making it so that the solid squares are what covers the magma area. As long as there's one tile of magma under the forge, it is technically operable. You could build multiple forges along here. If I built one here, and I built one here, and I built one here, I could get 3 forges in that same space. It won't look quite as pretty, obviously. And you run the risk that because it's an open hole here where the dwarves can move through that space, that somebody accidentally steps in the hole and whoops. Yeah, but I've got 20 mine carts or something like that, or 40 mine carts being built. You can just dump all of them in one hole, fill all of them at one time, forbid them all at one go, and then just unforbid them to move them up to their new stockpile one at a time. To keep it, hopefully, a little safe. We hope. This will allow me 4 forges, and if you look at the difference then the smelter layout, the center top tile is the glass forge and the kiln and the smelter all use the same floor plan. So it's always one in the center at the top. So I'll be able to put one of these down below each one of these and then have glass forges and kilns if I want to do clay work. And excuse me, we'll have to move the track stop around and slowly move these things around. If it's 2 per and I've got 10, 13, 26, and 8 makes 34, times 2 is 68 mine carts I would need to do this in one shot. It's doable, but it'd take a minute. Give me a second here, guys. Well, the idea there is that we will stockpile an enormous number of sandbags, and we will have an enormous number of glass furnaces all running simultaneously, with the intent that all of our fortress will have some skill with glassworking as a craft skill. If it's not their major skill that they're going to mood out to, then then you need to use 2 to be minimum, because you have to have 4 of 7 magma in the hole. So each one of these holes is going to have to be filled with at least 2 minecarts, and if we do 3, we're safe, but if we try to do 4, we're going to have a mess. Magma does not, as far as I have ever seen, evaporate below 4 of 7, so we don't have to run the risk that our magma is somehow removed as long as we don't dig out the tile. It has been so long since I screwed with minecarts. I can honestly tell you I don't remember the last time that I had a fortress where I didn't just build all of that industry down at the magma sea. It's been forever and a day since I've had a fortress with anywhere near this kind of Z space. I like having room to build in, and this is great, don't get me wrong, but 100 Z levels is a lot of room.
No, 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 no. No!
There we go. And let's go ahead and talk about that location, because that's a gotta be admitted to the fort to be let in.
Sorry, I can't do it, sir.
That's what I thought. It's got to spread out to 1 of 7 to evaporate. Been a long time since I've tested any of that stuff, though. You never can be sure what holds between versions now. For those of you wondering, it's been a while since I've been able to sit down and focus on Dwarf Fortress. I had a significant cranial surgery in August of this year to address a long-standing health issue. And prior to that, I hadn't been able to focus on pretty much anything. Dwarf Fortress would have been hard to enjoy at best. It's kind of taken a lot of the pleasure of things that I had in my life away, and I'm glad it's gone. It's because it's gone that I'm able to do this broadcast today. But it means that I haven't been following along quite as closely as I once did with updates and changes in the game, to my chagrin. Now, the intent here is that this outer room will have a couple of guard dogs on duty in case someone is coming in. We can delay them while troops are assembled and massed. If there are thieves, they're passing through the hospital, so they've already endangered our dwarves, to say the least. But if they're also coming after our precious written works and eventually our, what will connect to our, I'll connect this out to our vault, where we'll have another, like a museum for artifacts. Well, I don't want them in there. I want to keep them out, so we're going to have a few guard dogs on duty at some point. To be honest, I'm scratching my head because the last time I played, I don't remember that guild halls were a thing yet. Could just be my old man brain sneaking in there, I suppose.
No.
Now, in order to keep trees from being a problem up next to the fort, we're going to take advantage of something momentarily here. We could build, I think you could build a road over that. Yeah. We could build a road, and we'd probably have the blocks to do it for that matter. If we needed to do something quick, say for example, because our dwarves were cheap and just wanted to do something in a hurry, the dwarven equivalent of yard cloth is a stockpile. Set it for custom stockpile and custom settings. Set the stockpile to allow block everything, disallow nothing, forget it all. Literally block everything, right? And then we can simply come in here and say, okay, I want to go up one, over one. I'm going to go down here and build a stockpile that covers all of the terrain around our fortress out to a certain distance. And this will prevent plant growth. That's the upside. Now, the downside, of course, is that while this prevents plant growth, it also prevents you from building anything on that terrain. So you're left with an area that won't have any tree growth, which is wonderful, but you can't put any traps in that space either. This is another reason why I don't want this to become our long-term entrance, is because keeping our main fortress clear of tree growth is a priority, whereas traps are a priority for our main entrance. But this will work for now.
No.
So let's see if Quick Fort still works for this. This may not work, but we can try it. That's an interesting choice. Let's see if this works. Okay, so the footprint lines up still. Yeah, I'm not sure that's right. We'll have to look and see what all it built there. So I think in the current version, beds look distinctly bed-like. Seeing a lot of bed there. Known material cabinet. 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 Yeah, see that's... No. 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 Nope, see that part doesn't work anymore. That's a shame. Have to get that fixed. So we'll clear these out. It may be the case that it simply can't do this if we don't already have the materials built, so we would have to have them all on hand, which is kind of a shame. I've never actually tested this with planning mode here. Alas, not everything can be a wonderful success out of the box. Some of these things require a bit of setup, and I haven't played with them. So many things to get back into the swing of. Check our beds. Those look good. That's got all my cabinets. Let's get the boxes done. Okay, and they'll come along, we hope, and populate all of that stuff for us.
Oh, no way.
Now we'll just suspend Quick Fort there. It just paused. Now that we've got Quick Fort paused, we can come back here and take a look, see if we're missing anything important. Bunch of cancellations, of course, on all of our standing jobs. few of the beds done. We're not quite there yet.
Winter is at hand.
Yes, I'll do it, but no, it won't work.
Sorry, I can't do it, sir.
Sir, you can't do that there.
Apparently never queued up rock mechanisms. That's not a good idea. Gotta have those going so we can build traps later on. Or, as in this case, screw presses. And our dwarves are dancing in the tavern. Merriment has
Sir, you
commenced.
can't do that there.
No.
Sir, you can't do that there.
I need to test something. I think I know the answer, but I want to test it anyway. I want to know if this counts as inside or outside. Hoping the answer is outside, but I doubt it. Oh, that's wonderful news. Simply wonderful. Oh, better than anticipated. Magnificent.
Well, at least it's not an explosion of cats.
And we'll have to try and do this fairly quickly here so that we can get this done the way we need. But if necessary, we can deploy the entire fortress to build an entire floor made out of stone above our current wooden one if necessary. We're going to build fortifications all the way around the outside. And then we're going to build a ceiling, and we're going to put beehives in the outer ring. And because the fortifications count as external, we will be able to have our beehives inside the fortress where it is safe.
No, 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 no. No!
Can't do that there.
Need another test. But I think we'll be able to put fortifications all along this
Sorry, I
front
can't do it,
wall.
sir.
Yes, okay, I have exactly in mind what I want to do. Get this done, boys. I cannot put the bees in the dog's mouth. I can, however, put the bees right up front near the front of our fortress where anyone who came by would be theoretically exposed to them. This may also serve to expose our dwarves to them and thereby harden them. We'll see. No reason whatsoever for them to cross to the north side of that area to dig it out, but there they go. You guys gonna drop those things in the hole, aren't you?
No, no, no. No. Oh, no way. No, I hate saying no to you, but no.
Gotta leave one of these squares unbuilt for last because this one here, they're gonna have to go around to the outside to build. There's another thing I'm going to put in my want list for manager is a search. I think we told it to make hives, but maybe we didn't. Now I have to figure it out. A lot of standing orders to pick through. We did not. But we shall. And now we will see if we can convince them to force the dwarf to stand on the south side of the block. No, he's going to walk through it, and he's going to lock himself out.
No.
Ta-da! Every time they want to stand on the north, and there's no way to convince them to stand on the south side of something to build it. See if maybe the road will help. I doubt it. We can try. Nope. The age-old dilemma of Dwarf Fortress, never fixed. How to get Dwarf to stand on south side of wall while building.
Why do you think I can do this?
can't do it.
Even putting a workshop with the immovable space there. Get it done. Okay, so let's get the workshop built. And then I'll forbid it and hide it, and we'll pretend we never saw that workshop.
Ugh, I won't do it.
No. I said no.
Now there's a not passable tile to the north of it. Now I think it's obligated to stand on the south side of that and finally build the wall where we want it. All it took was building an entire workshop on the outside of the wall that we were never going to use. Just so that we can forbid it and hide it and have that workshop disappear. Poof, gone. But at least now we got all our stuff on the right side of the wall, right? We'll get a few hives set up. It's already 10 o'clock and I was supposed to stop. And we'll get our scholars doing their beekeeping duties. One of whom is going to come to be nicknamed Clinidev if we don't get a wax worker immigrant. Now don't forget, for you out there in viewing, we're doing all this for charity. This is to help a local children's hospital. None of this money goes to me. It's all collected purely for charity.
Why do you think I can do this?
Okay, now most of our chickens, or excuse me, our peahens are going to be allowed to grow up. Apparently I missed one
Sorry,
clutch
I hate
there
saying
that I
no
didn't
to you, but
forbid.
no.
Once they are raised, they will no longer... They're not bound to the pasture of their parent. That is to say, they're not bound to the pasture in which they hatched. So we'll seal the door here and let them populate that room. And then at one point, we'll simply run in en masse and throw all the juvenile birds into a cage and try to keep as many in the room as possible. Having a hard time meeting all that fulfillment need there.
Sorry, sir, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Because we're eventually going to want a guild hall, and when we do, this is going to be a guild hall.
Sir, I hate saying no to you, but no.
Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dwarves everywhere. It is 10:15. Probably a good time for me to go ahead and call it for this evening. I will be back again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pick up where we left off today. And tomorrow we will see about, while we're working on the park, punching a hole down to the magma so that we can collect our mine carts full of magma to use for our magma forges up here. In fact, I can designate, this should be done now. I should be able to designate, yep. And we'll cut this so that you come out onto a nice plaza and then it sort of slopes away down towards the river. Actually, if we're going to do that... Oh, that does raise an interesting question. No, that'll work. We'll make that work.
can't do that there.
Giant piles of stone before we're done with that stuff, too. Let's check on our military before we quit, too. The axe dwarves who started off with skill are already up to 4. Those who started with none are already starting to crawl out of dabbled and start to work their way up. Likewise for the hammer dwarves, those who started with some skill, there were only a handful, have started to work their way up. These guys haven't been in training as long, I don't believe. Spear dwarves across the board. And now we have an archer squad set up, so now we have 4 military squads ready. Just need to get an equipment designed out for them next time. And we're going to have to work on, definitely going to have to get the forges. So it's the park and the forges next time. They've started to put the beds in. Good. So that'll get us to 100 and, I think it's 48 each, is 160, 192 beds. Doing my math right. 192 beds would give us enough room to handle every dwarf we're going to have. Potentially some visitors as well. Although I'll have separate spaces for them. This will actually be more bedrooms than we'll actually need. So once those are in, we'll have bedrooms for everyone. Let's see how we do. Oops. Now we make sure that there are some cut gems left over so that we're not using them all up if somebody needs them for a mood. We make sure that all the goblets aren't consumed so that we don't accidentally trade them all away or that somebody's not tying them all up for a job. That way there are mugs available for the tavern or for our dwarves to drink from. But we didn't do cut raw glass. Yeah, we did cut green glass. Okay, good. So we did that part. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a nap here, I think, and we'll come back tomorrow at 7 p.m. again, and we'll pick it up where we left off. And by golly, we're not going to do just 3 hours a night on average. We're going to average at least 3.5 before we're done. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, before we go, let's see if there's not somebody out there who we can deposit you all upon. A nice raid, if you will. Let's see who's broadcasting out there in Twitchland who could deserve a few folks to arrive. Looks like we've got one there. That'll work. All right, guys, have fun and good night.